Hey there. Can you hear us fine?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Hi, friends.
Better yet, we can see you. Look at you, you handsome gentleman. Damn.
You guys. How are you?
We're well. We're well. Well, I'm well. Are you well?
Thanks, Johnny. I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too
Look
bad.
at that tall doggo.
Yeah.
I love a
Still
surprise
on the show.
Yeah.
They're always here. Like we're at Eddie's place right now, and this is where we're usually writing. So he's got 3 dogs, and they're always like around us. Especially here in the winter, it's like perfect, the perfect place so they can look at us and look at the computer and whatever. So
Are they all the same breed?
No, they're mixed breeds, adopted. So
Nice.
they all look very different.
I like that. I like that. What's that one's name?
Hacho.
That's a good name
Good
for a
name.
dog, too.
Yeah.
It's everything you're not, Johnny.
What? A
Yeah.
dog.
You're definitely a dog. You're a bitch.
I do like being like scratched behind the ears. Gentlemen.
Hey, guys. Way to just knock it out of the park again. First single back.
Thank you. Thank you so
Hot.
much.
Damn, we just listened, watched, and we're just like, oh, honestly, you don't miss.
oh, that's really, really sweet.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks. I don't know how much you followed the backstory behind this release, because we were not really planning to drop this song at all. It was actually scrapped because it never really made it into Heaven in Hiding. We did a demo rundown. We did a series of those more than a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think you had the idea, it was like, well, maybe we should just do something special, and try to show them a song that we never put out.
Yeah, cool.
And we did one for this track as well. I don't think it even had a name. It was just, Lost Demo version 1. And so we put it up, and like we spoke about we went through the tracks and whatever, and people lost their minds. They were like, oh my God, this song is great. Like we have to record it and release it. And so we're like, yeah, yeah, maybe.
Oh, so it wasn't actually a B-side. It wasn't actually already recorded.
Oh.
Okay.
It's so funny you say that, though, because when listening to it, I can hear how it fits in. I know you're saying like it didn't fit with the album and it wasn't going to make the cut, but I can really hear it being a sort of continuation from Heaven in Hiding and sonically where that album took everyone. Like it doesn't sound too abstract or too far from it. It has a really nice little tie in there, which now makes sense when you explaining that.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in that kind of album writing mode, you don't really know what goes through your head. You kind of you really need to compartmentalize, and you just like, okay, we move on with this track or we don't. It's like just taking a decision and going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I think like getting into it and then really finishing it, like writing it, like completing the song, and I think we both found like, wow, it's actually great. There's some great stuff in here, really. And so I think that's why we are treating it as a new release, because it is, it is a new song from us, really, and it feels like it's an important song for us to put out right now.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, when you said it was essentially a song that you guys had put on the trash heap, and then we listened to it and we're like, holy fucking shit, this is so good. It's like,
This is the
yeah,
trash.
this is our trash. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, I know like plenty of bands that would kill to have a song at that caliber. So well done on that, because it absolutely smashes.
Thank you so much, guys.
I mean, we went back to the same studio, worked with Henrik again, producer, and we did everything the same way, as with Heaven in Hiding. Like everything had to be, to the same standard, same quality, of course. And it turned out really well, I think. So I'm really looking forward to putting it out soon.
Does this get you excited for new material and releasing more stuff now? Or does this feel like it's a nice little filler in between album cycles? It's enough to kind of keep you satiated.
I mean, it's like we recorded this, when was it? It was
It's like
A while back.
yes, before we went touring, because this whole 22, like since the restrictions were lifted here in Europe, since late April, we've been on the road pretty much. You know, we had 2 tours back to back, acoustic, then 1 regular in Europe, and then festival season, and then it's been on and off shows, festivals here and there, and then the Big In Flames run that we did now this autumn. So it was before all of that, really.
Yeah. So I mean, we have started working on new material, but it still feels like it was a long time ago. Even though we're putting this out now, for me at least, it feels like an old song.
Yeah.
Does it kind of make you think, you know, because this song could have quite easily never existed and never seen the light of day. Does it kind of make you think back and go, shit, how many other songs did we have that could have been potential bangers that we've just thrown away?
I don't think I want to know.
Just get depressed.
Sometimes it's just hard, as you said, like that you're in like a creative mode, and like you're working with a theme usually when you're writing an album, you know, and sometimes you come across something that's good, but it's not really the song that you were supposed to write in the moment, sort of. So it's always great to save them, because sometimes you feel like, okay, this is not really what we were. This is not gonna like make the album, but listen back 3 months later and maybe it's awesome, you know, maybe it's like perfect.
But I would say, you know, I have listened back to older demos, like going back a lot of years, and I think that this track was probably the first time when we went back to a demo where I felt like maybe we missed something here, like that maybe this is a track we should put out.
Yeah, okay.
More often when you listen back to other demos, it's like you kind of see that there's something that is not working out. It takes you back to that time of writing the song and gets you through like what you felt at the time. Like, yeah, maybe it's not working out.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything there for taking your time when writing a record, like doing it in a slower process so that you give each song the time maybe it deserves? Like rather than going, hey, we're going to write a record, we're going to do this in a month, rather than going over the next 6 months, we're going to write a whole record and then we can focus on each song and give it the time it deserves. Do you think there's anything for that, or is it just that's not the way you guys like to work?
I mean, we've been doing this together for a long time, and I think what we felt or what we learned when we were working together is that sometimes you get stuck, and it's in most cases it's better to move on. I mean, you can always come back to that track later if you want to, but if you get really stuck, there's kind of no point in trying to force it.
Yeah, and I think the Heaven and Hiding cycle was kind of long in terms of the creative process, because we had nothing else to do. You know, we were like else. So that was kind of the only thing that we can just, you know, dive into was the music really, and write new songs, and that was kind of the only thing that made us also, like, I don't know, look at the future and knowing that, okay, this is the next step for us, because we don't know when we're going to be on the road again or whatever. So the whole process was kind of long, and maybe that's why this song came up. And we felt okay, let's move on for now, because we had the time for it or whatever.
You touched on there not knowing when you're going to be back on the road, and it has been a year now. The real question is, why have you not visited us yet?
Yeah, look, I didn't want to bring it up, but
is it something we've done?
I mean, we're not angry, just disappointed.
We're kind of waiting for you to get us the flight tickets, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah, they're not cheap.
And you guys did the In Flames run, right?
Yeah.
How was that? And were they as awesome people as I hoped they would be?
Yes.
Better.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
It was incredible. It was a really great experience.
And
you know, like growing up, being teenagers, like 15 years ago when we were kids, you know, In Flames were
shut up, Nathan.
He's just so old. 15 years ago, he was like 40. That's amazing. So yeah, when you were teenagers, In Flames.
Oh, that's comment. Okay. I mean, that they were so big. They were so huge. Like that was our favorite band, you know.
Yeah.
And we're from the southernmost parts of Sweden, and so but that was the band everyone was talking about, and we've been so influenced by them, and you know, in my guitar playing, and so they've been really they've been huge, really. So to receive the offer and somehow just sort of the I don't know, to be seen by them in a way, and like what you guys are doing, you know, and it would be cool if you come on tour with us. That was amazing. That was so huge for us.
I think it's also a credit to you guys because it's not just a band that was relevant 15 years ago and then they sort of fell off. They're still coming out with like their new single is some of the best stuff they've ever released. So not only are they still relevant, but then to also see you as peers to come on the road, I think that's more of a testament to show just how well you guys sit amongst your like idols.
Heroes, yeah.
So yeah, well done.
It's really full. Thank you. It's really full circle thing. I would say definitely it is for us. And I remember that we went to see them at Metal Town Festival here in Gothenburg. That was a big festival that wasn't around. We went to see them. Was it like 10 years ago? Last year? You know, it was.
Yeah, that's the time we played.
Yeah, we played like we won a demo contest. So we had just started up the band. We played on demo stage, and then we watched them headline, and it was incredible. Like they were, I mean, the pressure they had. It was like on a concrete ground, the festival. So I think people were, you know, they got the crowd to jump so hard that they actually broke the concrete. I mean, that's how huge it was.
Yeah, it's like one of these piers in Gothenburg. So it's like just a huge mass of concrete, but it's actually on water. And they needed to move the festival next year because of it.
For us being like really starting out a band fresh out, and we're like watching that like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah,
on the road with them. So that was really amazing.
that's
And
epic.
how was their crowd? How was the reception and stuff? Because obviously a band that's been around that so long and has such a legacy, some of their fans can be quite militant, you know, like I really feel for the young opening band that gets a shot on like the Iron Maiden tour or something like that, because 99% of the crowd do not give them the time of day.
I mean, I would be honest and say that on the lineup, we were kind of the odd ones out. Because the other bands, you know, maybe were Orbit Culture and At the Gates, and they're a bit more like traditional metal bands, so they work a little bit better with the In Flames crowd. But as you say, they've been out for such a long time, the In Flames, and they have quite a diverse sound, so you can still see a difference from city to city or country to country. On like some parts there were more, I would say, metal heads, traditional metal heads, and maybe on some parts there were a bit more younger or like a younger crowd. So
and I think that just trying to convince an older like metal fan is not really our goal, you know. I mean, if you like that style, like the 1994 Lunar Strain stuff from In Flames, then go ahead, you know, spin the albums, you know.
Yeah.
But for us, I think it's important that we are not always labeled as a metalcore band. You know, I don't really consider us being only a metalcore band, and we don't know, like we don't always tour with metalcore bands or do those festivals and Peric and stuff. And so, I mean, even if it's great and so, but I like the fact that we can have a kind of audience in front of us, you know, when we're on stage, and it's a big variety of people, you know.
Cool.
From backgrounds and different like genre preferences or whatever.
Well, especially being able to take your songs and completely reimagine them, you know, with the acoustic stuff that you did, and be able to play shows off that, you know, alone is just testament to how, I guess,
the songwriting.
Special the songwriting is. Because I mean, could In Flames take, you know, Clayman or something like that and do an acoustic tour of it? Probably not.
I'd pay money to see him try though.
I'd go to that though. Like, I'd definitely go to that.
And look,
has been important for us for sure, and that's really been like a totally different crowd approaching us thanks to that. Like when we did acoustic tours, we had our fans sometimes bringing like their relatives, their mother or grandmothers, and so to the gigs.
That's sick.
Yeah, it is, because they could show them something that was important to them, but in a more presentable format, I suppose.
Presentable format. I like that.
Yeah,
So I'm
they're
gonna,
just
that's like,
like-
try and convince that to court to listen to more stuff.
Yeah.
I've got you a presentable format of some of my favorite music.
No, that's awesome though. Now, if I'm correct, you guys either did play or have coming up some shows with the boys from Envisions as well.
No.
Is that coming up or something? I thought I saw you guys on the same tour, or no,
Johnny
I
has
think
a habit
it
of
was
making things up. Sorry, Benjamin.
I think they played at the 5 something festival or whatever it was called.
Five Festival in Stockholm. Could be, maybe. Yeah, it's the one and only like alternative metalcore emo stuff festival that there is in Sweden.
Yeah, right.
That's how the scene looks over here. It's tiny, super tiny. Really.
You know where the scene's really good though.
Oh, where?
I don't want to just.
How
has
much
the
have been
response
pointing
been?
down?
He's in Johnny's pants. That's what he's trying to say. What's the response been? Because we've been seeing this more and more through the bands we speak to and just what's coming out. There seems to be this huge resurgence of heavy music, and it's getting a lot more credibility again. Are you guys finding that with your stuff? Like, obviously, the response to Heaven and Hiding was phenomenal. You guys got the credit you deserved, I feel, for that. But are you seeing that continue on, and is that giving you hope for more heaviness?
More heavy music coming out from us, or just in general?
In general,
yeah.
Yeah, I believe that it's also we're approaching an age of independence. I think it's just so much easier for artists and emerging bands that can spread their word, and they can get heard thanks to new platforms. I mean, just looking at how TikTok is working these days and how easy it is to also distribute your music on your own and do really well without the involvement of a record label, which is nothing wrong with, but it's a structure that is maybe limiting some younger artists that would have great potential, but maybe doesn't fall into, like this is how we usually always do things. And I think it's definitely, heavy music is coming back more than it's done in the past 10 years. We had a huge wave 10, 15 years ago with emo stuff, and metalcore was really big, but now I really feel like it's really about to come back. It feels like it.
Yeah.
We know that because Australia is so far from the rest of the world. And as you guys know, it's not easy to get here and it's not cheap. So we've kept a list of the upcoming shows that we've got, because obviously we're trying to get along to as many as we can and do press and all that sort of stuff. That list is quite long. And for me, that's a real show of how well the scene is moving and how well it's growing. If we have that many international bands making their way to Australia, and it's actually becoming viable and worth it, to make us a main stop, which is really cool. So,
and seeing so many of them do, like, they'll put on a show and it just sells out instantly, and they're having to like do a second show in States. Like that's really, really cool and very, it gives me so much heart knowing that like those bands that maybe 3 or 4 years ago would have been like playing a small club gig can now like sell out small arenas. That's really cool.
That is great to hear. Really, really. I think there's a big interest and in general for people now, after such a long time of being restricted of going to events like this.
Yeah.
And even though like the majority of the parts of Europe over here are struggling with the situation as we're having right now. There's a war going on in our continent, and inflation is big and whatever. I still feel like people need a little bit of a break from that, and just being able to go somewhere and enjoy what they're loving, really. Yeah.
And how are you guys handling, the current state of everything over there, in terms of cost? Because like one of my best friends actually married a Swedish girl and moved over there, and he said it's just getting ridiculously expensive. He told me something ridiculous about the cost of electricity over there.
Yeah.
The electricity bills are skyrocketing here. Although I think that if we compare ourselves to other neighboring countries or in Europe, I think Sweden has in general not been affected as badly. But it's still hard for a lot of people. Like thankfully, nobody in our family or among our friends, but currently there are a lot of people who needs to move out of their houses because the interest rates from the banks on their mortgages has gone up a lot, and then you add the electricity on top, price of gas is like people can't afford to live in their houses anymore.
Yeah.
It's not that much different here either, to be honest.
I see. I mean, when it comes to the band aspect, I suppose touring, of course, gets more difficult. The prices of vehicles, like touring bands or nightliners or whatever, they're skyrocketing, and it's worse than ever. Obviously. And that's a bit hard. And printing of merchandise and things like that is getting much more expensive, which is a huge part of the band. The band's income and means to survive. And so, it's affecting us for sure.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty common thing that we're hearing, not just from Europe, from America, from the UK. Everyone's sort of having that same thing of being like touring and those things that were fundamental to like the survival of bands are becoming a bit more difficult. So are you focused on any other areas to kind of help alleviate that? Like you said, you touched on merch. Is that something that you guys are passionate about and like being creative with, or is that just kind of something that is there because you kind of have to have it?
No, it is a huge part of our band and a way for us to create a stronger bond with our fans. We've been running our web shop independently and taking care of everything ourselves, and we put a lot of focus on only printing on organic and fair trade stuff. So we are very conscious about the materials we use for the shirts, that they have a long-term life, and you can feel that there's great quality.
That's awesome.
I think it is something that's really inspiring for us to do, and we like to be a part of like changing the way that bands approach merchandising.
Yeah, and I think it's for us, it's really important that because it's an extension of our music, really, and it's the closest that we can get to our fans where we're not touring and meeting them in person.
Yeah.
So it's something that is important for us to handle on our own, really. Like, we are there in the warehouse, packing the stuff, really, sending it out to you. We had a couple of other third parties that were handling our merch before, selling them on their platforms, but we decided to take a step away from that and centralize it so that it's directly from us. It's from us here, and we are involved in everything,
and especially taking control of, like I said, what kind of materials we're using, and
also designs and everything. It's like really that this is something we really want to put our brand on. This is IMMINENCE wear. So I think it's very apparent when we were writing Heaven in Hiding, and we obviously lost a big income from touring and playing live shows, and we still have a company to run, and we have expenses that needs to be covered, and the merchandise was really a lifesaver there. It kept us afloat during the whole writing process, and I think if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Oh, no. Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that that's a good lesson for any sort of young band? I mean, like the one that I look at in terms of keeping everything in-house and being, finger on the pulse and really treating it as a day job is like obviously Parkway Drive. Like they keep everything in-house almost. Do you think that that's something that bands need to be a little bit more conscious of when sort of getting opportunities that give them, I guess, sort of like an inkling that they may be able to do this for a career? Is it's like, well, if you want this to be your 9 to 5, it's so much more than just writing songs, releasing songs, and playing on stage. You need to treat the whole thing as a 9 to 5 job. You need to be working for 8 hours a day.
I think you need to have still the interest for doing that. I don't have anything against, and I can understand that bands kind of want to outsource this type of business to other companies. Maybe they're just interested in being on the road and writing music. So I'm not sure it's for everyone, but I do think it's a great way for supporting yourself as a band.
Yeah.
At least if you do it, let's say honestly.
And I think the means are there, all the tools are there today, really, and it's not that difficult to learn how to do these things. I mean, you have to be willing to work hard, and you need to. I think you just need to have the passion of being in charge of your own project and understanding that it's not just the music, even though that's the most important part, but there's so many other aspects that is connected to being a band today.
Yeah, I do think it takes a bit of initiative too, as you're saying, like Eddie, maybe that's not you and you don't want to do that, but if it does take initiative to be across all of it, you can't just kind of let it all happen and it'll work out, because that's not just how things work. Now, I have a serious thing I need to talk to you guys about. Eddie, you're very groomed now.
Yeah.
You were all rugged before. I like both options. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
When did the change come about?
So I actually was saving this kind of rugged look for the In Flames run.
Okay.
I've always
Smart man.
Fit in. Yeah.
I always had this kind of groomed look, you would say, especially when doing the live shows. And I thought it could be fun to try something else and approach the look from the Heaven and Hiding video.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I got so sick and tired of it. It's so much work.
Keeping a big, like, long hair, beard, that's work. Kudos to you. Look at your hair. It's glorious and long. I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. It's just a mess, and it just takes too much time. But
It looks great. So well done.
thanks.
It looks great on stage too when you're headbanging and windmills and things like that.
That's why it's a mess, though. It gets all tangled every time you're spinning around.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you tend to think the metalheads are like don't really care, but we do care. It's like, we have our tangle teasers, and then like we braid our hair before going to bed, and we use our conditioners, and like we really
Breaking that stereotype. I like that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is what I'm trying to tell my son as well, because he's 10 years old. He's got long hair down to here, and he loves it. But he's also got really thick hair, and
So
he
thick.
doesn't want to cut it. He refuses to cut it. I'm like, dude, why don't you try like the nice, neat barbershop look? And he's like, no, people won't recognize who I am and I'll look stupid. And I'm like, you're 10, relax. But I'm also telling him, like, if you want to keep your hair long, dude, you have to fucking look after it, because I'm sick of having to try and brush it once every week because you haven't. It just like starts looking like Jonathan Davis from Korn.
He is a bit of a freak too.
Well done.
Hey, we want to wrap things up with you guys with some would you rather, some quick fire, this or that. Are you
All right.
game?
All right.
You don't really have options, so
Yeah.
we can ask you anyway.
Hey, before we do it though, I want to ask you, you've been back touring for like a year now. I want to hear best and worst shows over the last year of being back in touring and why.
Well, I know there was a festival this summer. That was definitely, I'm not going to say which one, obviously not, but yeah, that was, how much can we say, really? I mean, when your backstage is like in a barn, I think it's pretty bad. I guess like when you're sitting on like, bales of hay and just trying to get in the mood for a show. Like trying to, I'm cool, I'm going to go up on stage, I'm going to do my best and try to impress the crowd. But you can't really hear yourself thinking because there's like the big tractor and like just making noise over there.
Oh,
But, yeah,
Wow.
that was an interesting one. Yeah, sure.
Okay, what about the best one?
Oh, I mean, there's been a lot of great shows, and impressive in a different sense. But I always kind of prefer when we do our own headline shows, because that the crowd is there for you, and you have a much stronger connection to everyone in the room.
Yeah.
And fantastic shows we did on both the acoustic tour and the regular Heaven and Hiding tour this year. I can't really pick one. I'm sorry. It's
okay. We won't hold it
That's not a
against
bad problem to have, though, if you've had some really, really great ones.
yeah.
All right. So as Nathan said, we're going to give you a bunch of quick fires. All right. And
no thinking, just straight answers.
yeah. All right. So Metallica or Megadeth?
Metallica.
Hatebreed or Madball?
What?
I'm actually.
I think this is actually a one that you changed for a guest that was.
Yeah, I did actually
before
change that one for another guest.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
skipped
yeah.
that one. But I'm going to take a guess and say Hatebreed. That's what I think you would answer there.
I guess like hardcore is not really my background, but okay.
All right. Movies or television series?
Movies.
Sure.
Have you got a favorite movie?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's a hard question. If you don't want to answer,
You
that's
said
fine.
You said only quick answers, so
I was hoping maybe it's be like Forrest Gump. Beach or snow?
Beach.
yeah.
Beach for sure. Yeah.
Is that
I live
because
in
it's something that you don't get as often?
I
Yeah.
live I can see the beach from here.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's only like 2 months of the year. The rest.
Yeah,
of
I was
the
going to
time
say
it's-
that's
it's like that's why we love it. Obviously.
it's a different kind of the beach.
I hate
Alright.
I like the beach in that way. It can be great, but I kind of hate being there, you know?
Oh, really?
What?
I'm just getting so bored so quickly.
It's nice to look at. from the
You're
distance.
going to the beach with the wrong people, my friend. When you get out here, I'm going to take you to some beaches and I'll show
Yeah.
you how to enjoy a beach.
It's like you're jumping off cliffs and, finding critters and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Would you prefer to drive a sports car or a truck?
What kind of truck? You mean like a
Like a
Like a-
utility
Yeah,
vehicle.
like a four-wheel drive, off-road sort of.
Oh no, I would drive a sports car any day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I've never driven a sports car. I would love that just to try it.
Okay.
It's
All right.
terrifying.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll tell a story quickly. So when I was in Germany a few years ago, I was with my friend and his stepdad, and they were driving to pick up this like vintage Volkswagen. It was a beautiful car, very expensive, beautiful car, but it was like a shift, and I was on the wrong side of the road, on the wrong side of the car, and they picked it up. And then on the way back, they were like, "Oh, Dad can't drive. He'd lost his license for something." So like, you have to drive the Audi R8 down the autobahn. And that's like, it's like a 200,000 euro car driving 200 Ks. And I was just like so scared the entire time. Like, I don't want to crash, and people just flying past me. It was a horrible experience.
That's funny because I also have an Autobahn story. Last time I was in Germany, it was the first time I'd ever been on the Autobahn. So we were in an Audi as well. It was just my friend's aunt. Like, this woman's like 80 years old, and she is just hooking this Audi, like not even a sports car, just standard like sedan, down the Autobahn at like 240 kilometers per hour.
We don't have that over here. Our
And I'm
speed
just
limit is
sitting
like
there going-
110.
Yeah, they don't care. Over there.
Yeah.
They just,
Not at all.
It is wild.
You've not been driving on the Autobahn unless you've been in my car. I was driving Toyota Yaris Verso.
Yeah. I know Yaris, yeah.
170 kilometers per hour on the Autobahn.
The whole thing's shaking around.
All right. The Beatles or the Stones?
Beatles.
Beatles,
Pizza or burgers?
burgers.
Burgers.
You guys are very in
Yeah,
sync.
this is why the band works so well. All right. Donuts or ice cream?
Ice cream, yeah, for sure.
Oh. Board games or video games?
I would say now in my time of life, it's board games. I stopped playing video games a long time ago.
Yeah, I also that's Tekken. Tekken I like to play, but that's the only video game I like. I
Okay,
guess.
so
All
board
right.
games.
Jeez. Fallout Boy or Panic at the Disco?
What?
Fallout Boy?
Just
I was about to flip the table then.
They know nothing.
I mean, I didn't really have that face.
No, I never listened to any of them, but I guess
No.
Fall Out Boy. I guess.
Okay.
Next one.
Reality TV or sitcoms?
Sitcoms.
Yeah, correct.
Well done.
You're
Well
very
done.
right.
Apple Music or Spotify?
Spotify.
Yeah, we were in Sweden, so I have to say Spotify.
Do you guys
Yeah,
not
good
have Apple
call.
Music?
Yeah, but it's Spotify all the way. Everyone's
Okay.
using it.
I think that's kind of the same in most places. Like Spotify has the monopoly.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to have Mexican food or Italian food?
Italian.
Yeah, in sync.
This is
yeah,
ridiculous.
this might be
Yeah.
a flawless run.
All right. In terms of films, horror or comedy?
Oh,
Oh, I think comedy for me.
yeah. I would say comedy. I mean, I love a good horror film, but they're kind of hard to get by.
Hmm. But it's like there's a lot of bad ones, but most of them are like okay, I guess.
What's the last good horror movie you saw?
Well, I did rewatch Get Out.
Yeah, great movie. Really good.
I don't know. Like last time I watched a good horror film was probably rewatching The Shining. Because it's awesome.
Did you watch oh god, now I can't remember the name of it, the sequel that was released a couple of years ago?
I didn't watch it.
No,
You didn't watch it?
no,
I didn't
God,
see
no. I saw the trailer. I was like, no, please. Why
Johnny
would you
likes
do
all the trashy horror movies. He watches all the bad
No.
ones.
I was the same. I didn't go and see it at the cinema because I thought it would be absolute dog shit, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. There were some really cool Easter eggs and nods to the original.
Yeah, but how can you take on like a sequel from Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah.
The Master?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. It just wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. All right. Would you rather sleep in or early rise?
I'm an early riser.
Would say sleeping.
We got one.
We
Yes!
finally broke him. Great. Do you prefer to call or text?
Our call.
Yeah.
Cool. Texting takes forever, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We still text, but depends on what you wanna say.
Yeah.
You wanna get it done fast, it's better to call.
Yeah, and if it doesn't need context, if you just want to send a word, yeah, 100%.
Was it Chino from Deftones that said he FaceTimes people
yeah.
because they're not expecting it?
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's
I
a
quite
real
like
power
that,
move.
yeah.
That's crazy.
All right. Blink 182 or Green Day?
Green Day.
Are these
Either.
questions for someone else? Because I feel like
No, these are ones that most people can answer. You're just really showing who you are here.
All right. No, wait. Okay. I'm going to go for you guys. I'm going to go Swedish. Millencolin or Refused?
Refused.
They're two different genres.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
None of
No.
these are different genres. You're giving two bands that are the same. You just named the only two Swedish bands off the top of your head. You dickhead.
No, well, I would have actually preferred to know the difference between Blindside and Refused, but I don't think Blindside were big enough.
Wow. Yeah, I know them for sure. That was a crazy good band. Really.
Incredibly underrated. Incredibly
Yeah,
underrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, didn't like Chester from Linkin Park say that Blindside was like huge inspiration for them or something like this?
Wow.
Like, I heard something like that. I don't know. Don't take it too seriously. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
That's going to be the headline of this video. Is the quote.
Exactly.
Uh,
Chester said, like,
I think there was something with Refused.
really? I think doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Refused to implement Man, The Shape of Punk to Come. It was that just like is a seminal album for so many bands. Okay, I'm just going to go off the books here and just say 10 years ago, what were you listening to? What was the bands that inspired you the most?
In Flames.
In Flames, August Burns Red.
Yeah.
What more? Cult of Luna.
Yeah.
You listen to Cult of Luna.
Yeah,
Sigur Rós.
I can hear that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not 10 years ago. 10 years ago, yeah, for sure. I think I listened to like the early stuff of Architects.
Yeah.
I did, for sure. What else? like growing up, what else we would listen to.
Well, when we said like Fall Out Boy or Panic! At the Disco, you didn't really have an answer. Green Day, Blink, you didn't have an answer there. So clearly you went into like pop punk. What were you into? What was the main things you were listening to there?
I think when I was 20, it was metalcore,
New metal?
Post.
but also starting to deviate a little bit from the genre, like going into like Sigur Rós and similar things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. I mean, when I was a bit younger, when I was in high school, there was a lot of like classic metal bands like Lamb of God, for example, that were huge. Killswitch Engage, I really listened a lot to, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we never had, I mean, the one metalcore band that was really influential to me, that was August Burns Red growing up, really.
That's like my all-time favorite metalcore band.
Yeah, if you listen, we were really big fans at that time, and if you listen to some of the earliest stuff we put out, you can really hear like the August Burns Red influence.
Yeah, cool.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll finish off on the divisive question along the lines of touring. You're about to go on stage. All right. You're about to play your biggest headline set ever.
Supported by Blink 182.
And Used.
Yeah.
You have to put on, before you go on stage, either cold, wet socks or cold, wet underwear. What do you choose?
I've actually I have actually put on cold underwear, wet underwear before, because we had like very limited amount of time to do laundry, because there was like one laundry machine, and I was out of underwear, so I had to wash, and I was like, I'm not.
Or just don't wear underwear.
Sorry, what?
Well, you just don't wear underwear. Go commando.
Yeah, I had a hole in my pants, so I was like, so they were like still wet, like waiting for it to dry, and I was like, fuck it, I just put them on. So yeah, I could do that again probably.
All right,
If
so
I would say socks.
you'd say socks.
Yeah, I knew I liked you, Eddie. That's the correct answer.
I thought we had a really nice friendship going, but you just ended it.
No, he said he hates you.
So note to self, make sure we send them some underwear for Christmas.
You know, some pants without holes in them. That's the real problem. Boys, honestly, we cannot wait to hopefully get you out here someday, not too far away. In the meantime, we're very, very stoked to see you guys releasing more music. And thanks for taking the time to hang out.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us, guys.
So good to see you.
Anytime. Hopefully see you soon. And is there anything else you want to leave with people?
Buy some merch. I'm telling that to the people.
Well, we can't wait, obviously, come over to you guys as well. But apart from that, I don't know. We have to get busy because we're about to write another song right now when we finish the call. So
We've inspired them. It's going to be very
Yes.
Green Day influenced.
Thanks so much, dudes. Always a pleasure. We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, boys.